Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. First of all, may all of our homage be to the great triple gems, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may all of our homage be to our great Kalyana Mitra, our Pinut Loku Swami Vahansa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan Saranai. Dear meritorious devotees, today this special Dhamma sermon is conducted in English language. So today's Dhamma sermon is sponsored by Mrs. Dr. Daniel Van Rooyen from Melbourne, Australia. So with the kind sponsorship of the devotees, we're going to listen to our great teacher, Supreme Buddha's Dhamma. Now, when we consider about the Dhamma, Dhamma is something like a mirror. Now, the Buddha refers the Buddha's teachings to a mirror. The Buddha asked this from Venerable Rahula. Rahula, what is the purpose of a mirror? For what do you use it for? Then Venerable Rahula replies that we use the mirror to remove the dirt or anything that is on our face and our body and correct the mistakes, correct the faults in our face, on our face. That is why we use it for, right? To make us beautiful. In the same way, the Buddha says, in the same way, the Dhamma should be used as a mirror. Why? To make us beautiful, to make our hearts beautiful, to make our mind beautiful, and to remove all the mistakes from our mind and our life, right? So when you come in front of a mirror, when you go in front of a mirror and see, the first thing that you see is not yourself, right? You think that you see yourself, but you don't see yourself, but you see the mirror. And through the mirror, you see your reflection. And when you see your reflection through the mirror, you see if there are some mistakes, if there are things that should be corrected on your face, if the hair is not in a good place, then you see that, right? If there is a pimple on your face, then you see that, okay? If there is something on your face that is applied, then what do you see? You see that. Then what do? You take some effort to make it correct. In the same way, when you listen to Dhamma, when you learn Dhamma, you find the mistakes and the defilements that are prevailing, that prevails in your life, in your mind. And then the Buddha offers a path to follow to remove all those mistakes and defilements. And that is called the Noble Eightfold Path. So the Dhamma is to see our own mistakes and to correct it. We use it Dhamma for that. So when we listen to Dhamma, we learned that there are so many defilements in our mind. Before that, we didn't even know about them, right? We didn't even care about them. But when you learn Dhamma, you come across, you should not be angry. The Dhamma teaches us that being angry is not a good thing, right? It will harm your mind, it will harm others, and it is a very dangerous thing. So we learn that becoming angry is harmful, right? The anger is harmful. Some people can justify anger. Okay, some sort of anger is good. But here's the thing. Anger is something like a spark, right? Anger is like a little spark that can give rise to a huge fire, right? But sometimes it is just a spark. No one cares about it, right? No one feels any danger about it until the spark meets the proper conditions to make a big fire. Okay, I have seen a lot of incidents, right? I have my own personal incidents. That is one of my relatives. She was burned to death because of a spark, right? She had at her home, she had a gas leak, like the gas tank was leaked. And what happened? The whole house went on fire and she was burned to death from just a little spark. So a little spark can give rise to many dangerous things. That is why the Buddha says, in any way, in whichever the way that the anger is, it is dangerous. You should not justify it, right? You think like, okay, just a little amount of anger doesn't matter. It helps us. Well, we give the space for a little spark, and when it meets the proper conditions to make a big fire, it will blast. It will explode. That is why the Buddha says, do not give a single space in your mind for this spark. That is why the Buddha said that anger is dangerous, right? So we learn that anger is not a good thing, right? And also then we learned how to not to be angry, how to practice loving kindness. The Buddha teaches us, be compassionate, practice loving kindness, be compassionate to people around you, so that you build up a quality of compassion. You build up a quality of loving kindness, which we call Maitri, the loving friendliness. Maitri is the friendliness, right? The definition of the Maitri, the word Maitri is friendliness. You become friendly with people. Now, when the Buddha refers to the Maitri, Buddha refers it in a very deep meaning. The Buddha says that your loving friendliness, your compassion, your kindness should be equal to every one of the people around you, every being in this world. You should spread an equal kindness. The Buddha said, as same as a mother has her only child, a mother loves her only child, in the same love, that same love you should spread for everyone in this world. Imagine a mother loves her only child, who has an only child, right? Just one child, loves that child. How much love she has in her heart, right? You can't say how much, but it's a huge love, right? So the Buddha says that love, that energy of love, compassion should be spread to everyone around you, right? Equally. Now, a mother can love her only child, but not for the other children in the same way. But if we can practice a heart of loving kindness, right? We can practice a heart of compassion towards every living being equally if we give effort to it, if we know how to do it, right? If we practice it without giving up, right? Always remember, we do, usually in Buddhist practice, we learn Maitri as a meditation. So many people misunderstand that, oh, loving kindness or Maitri is just a meditation. You should meditate and just only that. No. Loving kindness is a meditation, of course, but it is more than a meditation. It is a quality. It is a daily practice. It is a habit that you have to have in your life, the daily lifestyle. In your character, you should have the loving kindness, right? Without that loving kindness, we cannot practice the loving kindness. Remember that, see, when we come to this world, right, we were not taught to be angry. No one taught us how to be angry. Did anyone teach you how to blame to other people? No. Did anyone teach you how to be angry with other people? No. Did anyone teach you how to quarrel with other people? No. Did anyone teach you how to find faults in other people? No. But we did that from we brought it from our inheritance, right? From our birth. We took it to our practice. Why? This is not something that is random. This is something that we have practiced throughout this samsara, not in this life, but also in the other lives as well. right? So that we have done this emotion, we have practiced this emotion. What is that? The emotion of anger, right? Finding faults in others, jealousy, hatred. We have practiced these things throughout the samsara, and once something is practiced again and again, it becomes a habit. It becomes automatic. And that is why when we come to this world, no one had to teach us how to be angry. No one had to teach us how to find faults in others. But we did it automatically. That is what a habit does to you. It becomes automatic. But here's the thing. Only when we listen to Dhamma, only if we learn from something, a source of Buddha's teachings, we come across this idea, oh, we should not be angry. Anger is not that good. Anger is bad. We should control our emotions. We should control our anger. We should be patient. All of these things we learn from Dhamma, and someone had to teach us. So with that, you know how difficult it is to control the anger. We all know that how it is difficult to be patient, right? And we know how difficult it is to be calm in the situations that triggers us to not to be calm. Okay, so that is why we need to understand that these things, these good qualities that we practice are not, we didn't bring it from our birth, right? We never brought it from our birth. So this is something that very, very not familiar to our life, right? So that we have to artificially practice it by force sometimes. We have to keep on practicing only until it becomes a habit, right? So there's a way to remove a habit, any kind of toxic habit from your life. This is the way to remove it. There's only one way, and that is to replace that toxic habit with a good habit. That is the only way to do that, right? So if we can replace the toxic habit of anger, hatred, with loving kindness, with compassion, with understanding, with patience, now that habit starts to continue throughout the life, right? Maybe to the next life as well. Have you seen people who are from the birth, from the character, they don't become angry. They are very hardly hate other people. They very hardly lose their temper. Why? Do you think that it is a random thing? No. It is also a practice of this samsara. In the past lives, they have been practicing good qualities, right? And that is why in this very life, they become very calm and peaceful people. So if we need to continue that, we need to practice this even though it is very difficult. Remember, not becoming angry, right? Becoming patient, staying calm, becoming matured, right? Handling a situation like a matured person is not easy. It is very difficult. Sometimes you have to accept the defeat, right? Sometimes, in some situations, you may not want to win all the situations, win all the arguments. Sometimes the best thing is to defeat. Just say, okay, I give up. I'm going to stop this, right? So you can take your win, you can take your victory. I give up. And that is also sort of a win. Okay, so we are going to learn the way that we need to handle these kind of such situations by accepting the defeat. Accepting the defeat also some sort of victory, right? So there is a wonderful sutta that I found in Samyutta Nikaya. So it is about accepting the defeat in some situations in life. So the Buddha says, in the past, a certain ugly, deformed demon, right? There was a demon, he was ugly and deformed. And that demon sat down on the seat of Sakka, right? Now, in the heaven, there is a seat for the Sakka. That's a throne, right? That's his throne. So, an ugly, deformed demon sat down on this throne. On whose throne? the Sakka's throne. Now, Sakka is the king of the Devas, right? He's the leader of the two heavens, Tavatinsa and Chatu Maharajika. So these two heavens were led by Lord Sakka. Now, a demon sat down on the Lord Sakka's throne. And what happened? Usually what happens when someone who you don't like sits in someone's seat, like someone who you like sits, right? What happens? You become angry. You say, like, no, get up. You are not. It's not for you, right? It's not suitable for you to sit here. Get up. You become angry. What if someone invades your space? Someone who you don't like invades your space. You become angry, right? So what happened? All the devas who were around this in this heaven were so angry because this demon sat down on the Lord Sakka's seat. And they were so angry, they started to complain. How dare you sit on our king's seat, right? How dare you sit here, right? They become angry. They start to complain, right? This ugly, deformed demon, you sat down on the Lord Sakka's seat. How dare you, right? They started to be angry. Now the Buddha says, the more they became angry, the more beautiful this demon became, right? He started to glow up. He started to increase his grace, right? He was beautiful. The more they became angry, he started to develop in the beauty, right? And it was an amazing situation in this heaven, right? All the devas gathered around the Sakka's throne and they were complaining, and this demon started to be beautiful even more. And then what happened? Those devas went to Lord Sakka and complained to Lord Sakka. You see, now your throne has been invaded by a demon. Now go there and do something about it, right? Now then the Lord Sakka is someone who has practiced a lot of good qualities in his past lives. Even when he was in the human life, his name was Magha. This Magha practiced a lot of good qualities, right? He gave dana, he practiced dana, he practiced non-violence, he practiced loving kindness. There were 7 practices that was practiced by Lord Sakka when he was in the human world. He practiced that for the whole life. He pledged to himself that I will look after my parents, right? For the whole life, I will look after my parents. And for the whole life, I will respect my parents. Throughout the life, he respected his parents. For the whole life, there was one good quality that he practiced. He says that I will never let anger in my heart. But if anger invaded my heart, I will soonly remove it. I will try my best to remove that anger. So that he practiced non-violence, right? He practiced loving kindness when he was a human. And because of practicing those qualities, he became a deva. Okay? And that practice led him to become a deva. And he became the king of the devas. And now, Lord Sakka had those qualities in his mind, in his life, right? So it is not a random thing for a Lord Sakka to be kind and to be compassionate, because he had the good qualities in his heart. Now, Lord Sakka understood this situation. He thought, okay, I know this guy who is sitting on my throne. He is the anger-eating demon, right? What is he? He is the anger-eating demon. There are demons who are called anger-eating demons. Like they feed, the food for them is the other's anger, right? When they trigger others to be angry, what happens? They can feed that, they can eat that anger, and they can even become even more beautiful, right? That is how they feed themselves. So remember, there are people Even there are people, humans, who feed others anger, right? Who eats others anger. So understand that this is not only for the heaven, but also for the human world as well. There are people around us who lives because of others' anger, who uses the others' anger and make a living, isn't it? Yes. So the Sakka understood the situation. Now the Sakka had the power to crush that demon and to kill that demon. But he didn't do that. He knew what to do and he knew how to deal with it. How? By accepting the defeat. Right? In that situation, Lord Sakka decided to accept the defeat. The Lord Sakka went to this anger-eating demon who was sitting on his throne, right? His throne, and he went in front of him. He knelt down in front of this demon and kept his palm together, worshipped and said, "Dear Lord, I am the Sakka." Okay, this is how he says. He says, dear sir, I am Sakka. Dear sir, I am Sakka, the ruler of the Devas. He worshipped the demon and said, I am the Sakka, the lord of the Devas. And it felt like accepting the defeat, right? Now it is very wonderful that the more he said this, the more he spread the loving kindness towards that demon, what happened? It will start, that demon started to shrink little by little. So it started to deform little by little, became uglier and uglier, and after some time, the demon disappeared. That is how the Lord Sakka dealt with the situation, right? By accepting the defeat. See, sometimes accepting the defeat is also a form of victory. Understand that. With whom you should accept the defeat? With the foolish people. Don't try to win arguments with foolish people. It is much better to accept the defeat and say, okay, you won, now go on, right? The best thing to do the more wiser you become, the less you argue with foolish people. Because you know that by arguing, by these verbal conflicts, you cannot win, but only you stubborn the ideas of other people. Here's one thing that happens to us. We think that by arguing, by anger, by hatred, by yelling, that we can make other people understand our ideas. But we can't do that. We never can do that. Understand? The more we yell, the more we become angry, the more we use the anger to express our emotions and express who we are, the more stubborn other people will become. This is what happens. For an example, look at any kind of problem that you made worse. When you use anger, what happens? The more stubborn they will become. First, sometimes with some people, you need to accept the defeat. You need to say, okay, you won. Okay, I accept your ideas, but now hear me. That is how you open others' mind. If you rejected their ideas first, they will never listen to you. First, you need to accept the defeat, and then you know how to deal with it, right? Always remember, it is much better to accept the defeat with the foolish people, with the arguments in the foolish people. Do not try to win, because if you try to win with foolish people, like foolish arguments, then you also become a foolish person, right? The best thing to do is to accept the defeat and say, okay, you won, you're correct. You don't like to change your mind, then maybe you're correct. It's okay for you, good for you, right? And that way, you deal with the situation correctly. Understand? So the Buddha says that this is the way to deal with some situations, right? This is also using the loving kindness. This is a way to use the loving kindness. Why? Because you know that if you become angry, it is harmful for you and for the other person as well. so that you don't use that anger. You don't use that hatred. You don't use that violence. The Buddha says that the loving kindness should be practiced from our body, from our mind, and from our words. These three ways we should practice the loving kindness. Not only with meditation, but with our actions also, our deliberate actions. The Buddha says there are six practices that maintains the harmony within people. The first one is the bodily actions of loving kindness. The Buddha says that you should act with loving kindness from your body. Your actions should be out of loving kindness, right? There are little things, little actions that we can do to show our love and kindness to people, compassion to people. Sometimes our mind does not let us to do these things. Why? Because of the ego. We think like, okay, why should I do that? They didn't do any help for me, so why should I do that? See, remember, kindness is not something that you give and expect something back, right? We think that, okay, if we give if we give love and compassion, others must give the same thing back to us. But that is not kindness. That is not compassion. That is called business, right? In business, what do? You give something and you take something. But loving kindness, compassion, these qualities are always to be given, not to be expected, right? Buddha didn't expect anything from us. Buddha didn't even expect a little praise from us. Okay? But Buddha gave everything to us. Throughout his life, throughout the Bodhisattva's life, he has been practicing this quality of dana, the generosity, giving in many ways. In every kind of that practice, he has given without expecting anything back. Understand that kindness is not something that you give and expect something back. Kindness is all about giving. It is about what you give. It is not about what you get. So that we have to be happy about not what we get, but with what we gave. Right? If you can become happy with what you gave to other people, then no one can make you disappointed. Why? Because you have become happy about what you gave, what you have done, not what others have done. Right? So that no matter if they understood your kindness, if they paid you back, if they became kind to you or not, you're happy. In either way, you're happy. Why? Because your happiness did not depend on other people's reactions, what other people give to you. Your happiness depended on what you gave. There was a nice incident that happened in one of the monasteries. When I was in one monastery, one day there was a dana, people who brought dana, right? And another old lady, she came to the monastery and she has brought another set of dana. Right? Now the dana is very excessive. There is more, right? But there are a few monks to consume that. So the monks, after monks having the dana, that old lady's dana was left untouched. But she was so happy. She wasn't disappointed of the monks not having her dana. Then I asked from her, like, are you okay? Are you happy? Are you upset with this? Then she said that, no, Venerable Sir, I'm not disappointed with that. Why? Because I brought the dana today and I offered it to you. Using it and not using it is up to you. I have already done my merit so that I am happy with what I gave, right? So in that way, in the same way, we need to think about the other people, right? If you give kindness, be happy with what you give, not with what you gain. Because if we started to compare with what we give and what we gain, then we will be always disappointed, because sometimes people cannot understand our kindness. Sometimes people are not ready to understand our compassion. Sometimes your children, your parents, your husband, wife, they are not in a good condition to understand what you do, right? So that when you don't get the same reaction back, when you give kindness, when you don't get the kindness back, you will give up being kind. You will stop that good quality. You will stop that practicing that good quality. So that understand that kindness is always about what you give, not what you get, right? And also understand, the Buddha said, the first thing is the actions of loving kindness, the bodily actions of loving kindness, and verbal actions of loving kindness. You need to speak in the loving way, soft words. Sometimes it may not be the soft word, but you should have the intention of love and compassion behind your words, right? And the third one is the mental actions of loving kindness, the thoughts of loving kindness. This is very, very important. And the fourth thing the Buddha says that you should share whatever the thing that you gain, right? Whatever the food that you get, you should share it. Whatever the thing that you get, you should share it. Sharing is very important to build up the harmony within people, right? And the fifth thing is, the Buddha says that you should have one vision. You should work on one vision to make success. When you work on one vision, as a family, as a community, if we have one vision, then we will build up the harmony. So understand, these qualities should be put into practice in the practical world, right? In the real world, not only within a meditation, not only during a meditation, but also in the practical world, right? The loving kindness should be there in your words, in your actions, in your thoughts. Only then we can practice this as a quality. Only then this will become a habit. And only then this will continue to the next life. And that is how we can build the amazing qualities within our minds. So understand, sometimes you may have to accept the defeat from other people, right? Don't try to win every argument. Sometimes defeating is also a victory. So keep this wonderful advice from the Buddha in your mind and make your life even more beautiful. Therwan Saranai. So now it is the time to share the merits with all the devotees. So today's Sampasadhani Dhamma sermon is sponsored by Mrs. Dr. Daniel Van Royen from Melbourne, Australia. So first of all, let's share all the merits that we collected today with all the Devas who protect the Gautam Buddha's dispensation. May all the Devas rejoice in this merit, and may they be well and happy. May they live long. May they protect all the devotees who kindly sponsored this Dhamma sermon today. And may all the Devas realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with our Pinnat Lokaswamin Vahansa and with the monks and the nuns of Mahamuna monasteries. And may with Mahasangha all around the world, may Mahasangha rejoice in this merit, and may they be well and happy. May they live long. May they live a happy life. And may they realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with all the departed relatives, especially with late Mr. Clem Van Royen. May he rejoice in this merit, and may he be able to realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also especially let's share the merits with all the departed relatives of all of us. May all the departed relatives rejoice in this merit, and may they be able to escape from this samsara as soon as possible. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with all the devotees who kindly sponsored to this Dhamma sermon today, especially with Mrs. Dr. Daniel Van Royen, who is from Melbourne, Australia, and also especially with Nayeli Gunawansha's daughter, who is celebrating her first birthday on September 21st, and also especially with all the family members of Van Royal family. May all of those devotees rejoice in this merit, and may they be well and happy. May they live long, may they live a happy life, and may they realize Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also let's share the merits with all the devotees who joined to this Dhamma sermon today and listen to this Dhamma sermon today. May all of you rejoice in this merit by the power of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, by the power of the great merits that we collected today. May all of you rejoice in this merit. May you be well and happy. May you live a happy life. And may all of you realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan Saranai.
මෙවැනි වටිනා ධර්ම දේශනා ශ්‍රවණය කිරීමට ශ්‍රද්ධා ඩේලි YouTube චැනලය සබස්ක්‍රයිබ් කරන්න.